welcome back to another episode of Mindful Witchery.
Fun stuff.
I said that so weird. Mindful Witchery.
Mindful Witchery. There's all kinds of ways we can inflect.
Yes. It reminded me of like the radio voice from the 50s.
Yes, this is
Welcome
really
back.
deep. Welcome back for another episode.
To Mindful Witchery.
Yes. I'm your host.
They always had weird names. Chuck Berry.
Trent Coxon.
Oh my god. Hey guys. So Lori and I just got done. We actually just did a more witchy episode.
Yes.
And we figured today we're just going to talk about random stuff now.
And it's so funny when you come, like you get here and we talk for like an hour before we do a podcast and we're talking about everything. Mm-hmm. And we always say the same thing. We should have recorded that.
Oh, I know. And then the stuff passed. Mm-hmm. The time's passed.
The moment's gone. We're on to another moment. It's the whole ADHD thing.
I think I'll just start recording and just forget about it. And then I'll go back later. And
then we'll have like a 4-hour episode.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Yeah, like what were we talking about? We were talking about history.
Yeah, we do talk about like intellectual topics. Because I actually was telling you, I had somebody who said to me that they couldn't stand intellectuals because intellectuals are all talk and no action. And I just hate that statement. And I don't, it's been bugging me ever since he said it. And it just really bugs me. First of all, I don't consider myself being departmentalized as an intellectual. I don't think of myself that way at all in the least bit. My dad was an intellectual. He was well-read, smartest person I've ever known, and read about everything. So he could hold a conversation about anything with anybody. I don't care if it was a nuclear physicist. My dad could have a conversation with him.
I'm like, my brain is blank for what you're saying. I have nothing to contribute. That's nice.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we work so hard to compartmentalize everything and everyone that we have to label people.
Oh my goodness, this reminds me of something I just read. Me being intellectual.
Let me get
on my pedestal.
Put your intellectual hat on, and here we go.
So I was reading So I'm taking a sci-fi class right now, and we read a lot of critical text to go along with the things we're reading because sci-fi, oh my god, it like so many people who write sci-fi, it uncovers social issues and like cultural issues. So this critical text, I believe the man's name is Doug Davis, and it was a review
I'm Doug Davis.
I know, what a name,
That's
right?
a great name.
And the fact I can remember this is crazy. So we did a review of a book, I believe it was a short book by the man's last name is, I think it's Alan Scott, George Alan Scott or something like that.
It's another great name. It's like 3 first names.
Fantastic name.
Yeah.
And it suits because it's called Master Mechanics and Wicked Wizards. And he talks about how in popular culture, we like to do that. We like to create these archetypes of people.
Absolutely.
And how in America, engineers, the innovators, the people who produce stuff are the ones who are put up on this pedestal. And scientists are usually made out to be like the intellectuals, quote unquote, are the ones who are kind of ostracized. And then this archetype is like mad scientist, this egotistical maniac.
A person who thinks in very black and white.
Very black and white, and they don't get things done.
They do math.
They do math. They didn't write this, he didn't write this in that, but my interpretation of it is we use scientists when it suits us.
Oh, absolutely. When we need to be comforted about something, right? Because science.
Yeah, but if it doesn't fit our agenda or the way we think, that scientist is mad. It's crazy. But this is like very consistent in our culture because we portrayed it in movies and books and things like that. So it was a fascinating read. I believe it's in the book. It's a critical text book. I can't think of it now. But
it's an intellectual book.
Yeah, it's an intellectual book. Only like the smartest people can get a hold of it. So, But it's called Master Mechanic, Wicked Wizards. One of the greatest reads because it kind of uncovers this.
That's a good recommendation.
Total. That's my recommendation. But it uncovers this. They talk about like the 17th century puritanical movement of anti-intellectualism and how it still systemically is in our culture today in the way people portray people who are smart for whatever reason. And I think it's because, like, people don't like to not be as smart as other people.
Right. Absolutely.
Like
it's a competition.
Why is it always a competition?
Why can we not just be the same smart?
Yeah.
I mean, it just amazes me. I don't understand it at all, and I don't understand where that whole idea of an intellect being all talk and no action. It makes me crazy, and I think that comes from an very extremist point of view. It comes from a very far right perspective about things, because we on the right are people of action.
Yeah.
But what is action
we
without...
get things done.
What is action without thought?
Or context.
Yeah. Action without thought or context is futile.
You can fight a war all day long, but if you don't know why you're fighting it...
Or how you're going to do it in the most, in the best way, then who are you to do it?
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
It's weird. Yeah.
I just used the word futile in a sentence today.
Perfect. I mean,
that's so fancy of me. Isn't that so fancy?
Look at you.
Resistance is futile. I am the Borg.
Yeah, and intellect is it's such a perspective too, because like I've met people who are so smart. Like I think you're one of the smartest people I've met in my life. And you don't think you're smart? No. It blows my mind. And Carson is. Like, oh yeah. But that's the weird part. Carson's an engineer. So where does he fit into this?
That's my husband. Roger
right?
is...
Yeah, Roger is too.
Yeah, Roger's the same way. And I consider him to be like one of the smartest people I know. I consider you to be one of the smartest people I know because you know a lot about a lot of things. And what you know is fascinating because it's not what I know.
Same. That's how I feel. I love how we can have conversations and we almost like plug in spaces in our knowledge.
I always learn something new.
Me
and
too.
That's what makes it fascinating. Is that, intellect is relative. Yeah. I think intellect is something that, is because we can't all know everything all the time.
Do you think it's a privilege? Like, do you kind of see it in that way? I hate to use that word, but education.
Right. But I know what you're saying. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, I think that there are those people though, who just are. I mean, my dad he went to 9th grade and that was it.
Yeah.
But he read a lot. When he was in the Korean War, and when he was there and things were boring, he read a lot.
Yeah.
And he continued that practice when he got home and married my mom. And he's always was a reader. And I think that was it was his choice to become an intellect, an intellectual. And he really was. I mean, I've seen him talk to people that I go, I could never have even... I was too in awe of that person and their ability to talk to them. My dad never had a single hesitation about talking to anybody about anything.
I love that.
I can talk about certain things, but it's like we were saying, I don't feel comfortable engaging in a conversation about something if I don't know a lot about it. I mean, and if I don't, I have to, we were talking about, a default, which is, it has to be a way to engage in conversation with people without offending them. Sometimes people come up with these outlandish, to me, what is an outlandish perspective on things. And so sometimes I just want to go, man, that's nuts.
Yeah, where did you come up with
Where did you come up with that weird idea? But instead, I need to start being able to say, you know what, I don't really know enough about that to really talk a lot about it. Can you tell me your thoughts?
Yeah, and normalizing the I don't know.
And really sit there and listen to their thoughts and not just be formulating my reply. We do that so much.
Oh, God, we love to do that.
We love to sit here and formulate our reply while somebody else is talking. I'm not learning while I'm formulating my reply, and I love to learn. I mean, if there ever came a time when I wasn't learning something new, I think I would just stagnate. And
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, I love to learn. And even if it's talking to somebody who sometimes maybe has a completely different perspective than I have, I love to learn. I mean, my friend Katie, hi Katie, if you're listening to this right now, I love you. Katie and I we've known each other for a couple of years now, and we can talk about anything. And and the interesting thing and the unique thing about that is that we come from two entirely different perspectives about things. She's left, I'm right, or she's top, I'm not. She's, it's like...
You say top and bottom, like, I don't know if
that's... I guess I shouldn't say that. Yeah. Not that way. But, like, we're polar opposites in terms of our perspective on things because we've had different learning experiences in our lives. But she can talk to me about anything, and I can talk to her about anything, and I know I'm going to learn something. And at least if I'm not going to learn something new, I'm going to laugh.
Yeah.
That is so, I've told her so often, I appreciate her so much. That's why I appreciate you so much, too. We can talk about anything. I mean, we are very similar.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think it has to do with the conversation style and the personality,
I think it does. Absolutely.
I think so, too. I don't think people know how to converse with each other.
We've lost a lot of that.
We've lost a lot of that.
Because you can't come at a person, even if you don't necessarily, if their belief is not your jam, then you can't, if you want to have that person as a friend and you want to learn from that person and continue to learn from that person, then you have to find a way to at least engage enough to listen. Actively listen. We do not actively listen anymore. I think that's one of the huge problems that we have. And I don't think that's just an American thing. I think that's pretty much a human thing.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't listen the way we used to. I mean, we tell people, this is how we know you're listening. You're looking at us. That's not active listening. That is just looking at a person, formulating your own reply.
Yeah.
There's a lot more involved in active listening than just eye contact, which is an important piece. But at the same time, are you really listening when a person's talking?
It's like ego gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my experience, I see it more in Western culture, but that's what I'm exposed to the more. So it's like, it's hard to say. But like, we're taught to one-up each other, to be individualistic. And like, we're not really taught so much in America here to want to know more about other people. It's always about proving your worth.
We know what we know, and that's what we know.
Yeah, so like, it's always this like, I need to somehow battle you for knowledge.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing. And you know, if you even want to get even more specific than that, that is a very New England thing.
Yeah.
It is I remember when I first moved here, I got my feelings hurt so often that I almost stopped talking altogether. Because I would say something, and no matter what I said, like, I could say, I brushed my teeth this morning, and someone would have an opinion about my toothpaste. Well, what kind of toothpaste do you use? Well, that toothpaste doesn't whiten your teeth. It only protects your teeth from cavities. You should be getting something that whitens your teeth.
Yeah. Oh, and did you buy it from Walmart?
Oh my God, you bought it from Walmart. You need to go to Target.
You need to go to Target because they source their toothpaste from a different jungle or something. Like Jesus Christ, it was like a constant battle. It's so New England,
and I learned how to survive it though. I think because I stopped getting hurt by it.
Yeah.
I just kind of would roll my eyes behind their back and just say, "Oh, this is you. You know, I still love you anyway." But it is it's a very combative kind of style in conversation in New England.
I agree.
It's not that way down south so much.
No.
Not that we're any more of an active listener, because I can sit there and look at you all day long and not be listening to a thing.
It's a lot of hollow pleasantries.
Yes, it's a lot of hollow pleasantries. We know how to beat around the bush. We know how to say things that make you think that we're listening, which is a little more pleasant than having somebody engage in an argument with you.
I preferred that when I lived there. I'm like, I know you're asking me how I'm doing, and you ask me questions about myself, but I know, one, you're not listening, and you're just doing it to be nice, but I kind of love it.
If I say, how are you today, I don't want you to tell me really how you are. I want you to use one word, and that's fine. How are you?
Yeah. And then complimenting the other person.
Pleasantries.
About their hat or something.
Yeah, exactly. Pleasantries. And that's how we teach pragmatics. I mean, I taught pragmatics to kids with autism for many, many years. And one of the things that we said was it's a turn taking. If someone says, how are you today? You say fine. And then you follow that up with a compliment. It's very formulaic. And that's kind of how we talk down south. That's what we do. Not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not very deep.
Yeah.
But it's also not hurting anybody's feelings.
It's very, the very surface level, but I kind of loved it.
Yeah, I kind of dig it.
Actually, that really marks one of the reasons why I left New England, is because I constantly felt like people were trying to battle me in conversation, and I had a really hard time connecting.
It's the weirdest thing.
Because so I always felt like there was something wrong with me, which there still might be, but I thought there was something wrong with me because when I tried to have conversations, it never went right.
Right, and when it doesn't go right, it doesn't go anywhere. So you might as well just use the pleasantries.
Yeah,
because it's not going to go somewhere. Because the minute you start to argue with me or you insult me, I'm going to close you off. I build up that brick wall, that mansion you know, between me and you, and I'm not really listening to you at that point. If you've somehow managed to alienate me, and I'm hard to alienate. I'll stick with a conversation and, you know, think to myself, oh my God, they're going down the rabbit hole or they're spinning out of control.
Please stop.
Yeah, just stop. When you build a brick wall around me, when I build a brick wall around myself, I'm not listening to you anyway. I'm just showing you pleasantries.
Because they just want to hear themselves talk.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a huge thing. Oh God, don't even do that to me.
It's a competition. It's a competition constantly.
And I don't have, and I've learned over the years, I do not have time anymore for you to talk at me.
No, I do not have time.
I just don't. And if you need an outlet, I am not your girl. I think I let people do that to me way too long, in New England especially. And like I don't need to be talked at, and I don't need you to lecture me. I'm not going to go full into it, but very similar happened. Today I heard about somebody talking about me. Right? And it's just like, I don't have time for this.
I don't have. If you don't have anything better to do than to talk about me, what is your life like?
I don't have time for this. It's fascinating what people feel like they can say in New England here. I think you are right. It's very specific to
very
hear.
Brazen. It's very very brazen. Very much, you know.
Nosy.
You take on the role of a doctor or a lawyer or an armchair quarterback or whatever you want to call it, like armchair lawyer. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media.
I agree.
We have given people courage because they don't have to actually say it. You have to wonder how many people, these people who argue with you on Facebook, if they would actually say what they say to you face to face.
What's it called? It's not liquid courage. Some of them might have liquid courage
some
behind the keyboard, but is it like keyboard courage?
Let's call it keyboard courage. Yeah. People are willing to say anything and debate anything, whether they know anything about it or not, when you're on social media. But I have to wonder how many of those people would actually say to me what they're typing.
I don't think many.
No, I don't. It's created. Keyboard courage is a great.
I think it's a great
phrase. Keyboard courage.
And it happens so often. I see it, and it was one of the reasons why I stepped away from using the internet for so long, like social media. And there's parts of it I do hate, but then there's parts of it, like we were talking about, that I love.
Yes.
And I love hearing people's opinions, but it's very few and far between to be around people on the internet that are willing to actually have real conversations without the one-uppingness and the trying to tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do in their life. Or being passive-aggressive. Being passive-aggressive.
Putting up that little meme that it just subtly directs itself at you, and you know it's direct. Or if you're one of those people who think every meme is directed at you, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. And and I could say it because I've done it. And then I was like, no. Like, this isn't what social media is for. It's almost like we need to, not us, but we could be part of the movement to, like, change how people interact on the internet, in social media, and, like, why is this one-upness normalized in real life, but also on the internet?
You know what I think we should do? I think we should start a revolution. I think that we should start fostering letter writing again.
Yes.
I have a friend who actually left social media completely and only writes letters now.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
That's like...
She writes letters and she sends postcards. And you write back and you send a postcard. And that's how you correspond. And I think it would be such a wonderful thing. I mean, it makes my day when I get a letter from her. Or a postcard. Makes my day. I'll read it like over and over again.
I love that.
And there's something to be said for letter writing. And I don't know. I mean, I know with the advent of social media and texting and all that, I mean, technology, we don't have to write letters anymore.
Yeah.
And with the post office being what it is, you don't know if you're going to get it.
No.
But nevertheless, I think it would be cool to start letter writing again.
I'm in.
I think it's so awesome. If you guys are in on that, why don't you send us a little message and we'll start a letter writing campaign. We'll get addresses.
Oh, my mom sends.
She does. Yep.
Yeah. She is the best. She's the best at it. And there's a huge difference in my own emotions when I receive an email than when I receive a gift in the mail.
And I love you guys that message me on Facebook, happy birthday, when it's my birthday. Oh. But I'll tell you, when I get a birthday card in the mail, it makes me feel so special because you've taken that extra step. First of all, you've gone to the store.
Right.
In the middle of COVID.
That with everything.
You bought me a card, so you had to stand there and figure out what card best suited me. even if you just for a second thought about it, you have to put it in an envelope. You have to put a stamp on it. And you either have to stick it in your mailbox or you have to go to the post office. Yeah. That's a lot more effort than somebody who clicks right on their timeline. Happy birthday heart. You know, as much as I love those, and don't get me wrong, I totally love them because you did take a second out of your time to do that, even though Facebook reminded you.
Which, thank you, Facebook.
Think about that. I mean, I think about my mother-in-law. She keeps a calendar, a paper calendar, on her refrigerator that has dates of things. And she has never once forgotten my birthday.
That's amazing.
She's never once forgotten the boys' birthdays. And we don't even live down there. She's never once forgotten Roger's birthday. In fact, we get cards ahead of time. Like a week ahead because she's afraid it won't get to us.
I love that. It's so special.
It is so special. And I just think it would be so fun to just write letters, to correspond that way.
Oh, I'm in. If you guys want a letter,
I'm so in. Absolutely. If you want to send us your address, message us your address. What is it? Mindfulwitchery
@gmail.com. Or you can DM at mindfulwitchery on Instagram.
Yes. Message us. Or even if you want, if you're totally okay with everybody seeing your stuff, if you want to put it in the comment section on Mindful Witchery, that's totally fine. Yeah. If you would like a letter and would like to write to us, please feel free to send us your address and we will start a letter writing campaign.
That would be so much fun. Yes, I'm in. And actually, speaking of birthdays, I figured this would be a good present, but happy birthday, Beth.
Happy birthday, Beth. We want to have you on the show.
Beth is turning 40 today.
Oh, 40. That's a big one.
She doesn't look it. She looks amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
When she tells me her age, I'm like, no, I still don't believe her. I think she's lying to me. But my lovely friend Beth, and I want to plug her because I really want her to come on the podcast.
Happy birthday, Beth.
She's wonderful. And she's an amazing tattoo artist in Keene, New Hampshire. So you should totally check her out. She works at Art for Life. And that's my present to you, Beth. Like, make some money.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh.
So, wow, a letter writing campaign? We just thought of something new.
I would love that. I love that so much. And we were talking, too, earlier about more ways we can connect with you guys. Letters are perfect, but also we were talking about, would you guys be interested in more of a community on Facebook? Like a Facebook group that we can all just connect and talk witchery. It would be very informal.
We could do Facebook Lives.
Yeah, especially for people who follow us. And it will be different from, right now we have a Facebook page, like Mindful Witchery, but this will be more of a group format that people can connect with us in that way.
That would be about witchery.
Yeah.
That would be about questions that you might have or questions we have.
Yeah.
Or just exchanging information with one another and being a community, a real community, because it's like we said before, being a witch can be a lonely thing. It can very much be like an outsider type of thing, especially if you don't have a lot of people around you that practice witchcraft. So we were just thinking that this might be a way for all of us to connect and just make it so that we, we're kind of a family.
Yeah, and that to me is what Facebook is turning into too. It's almost like it's all these groups. I'm part of more groups than I have friends on Facebook anymore because it's amazing, and I feel like the people I've interacted in these groups are there for very specific reasons, and it's a lot more positive.
Yes.
And that's the type of environment I want to create on the internet.
That's what we've always talked about, is we want to make sure that people have someone to turn to for questions or to exchange information or just to laugh with. Even if we made it to the point where it was so casual that it was like sitting down having a cup of tea with your friends.
I'm in. Which is tea.
I'm so in. Which is tea.
So I think that's the direction we're going in.
We could call it the Mindful Witchery Tea.
Tea room.
Tea room. Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Mindful Witchery. Because we have Mindful Witchery closet. So now we just have to go around the house. Mindful Witchery living room.
Yeah. Mindful Witchery car.
Kitchen. Yeah, it's going to be great.
We could do a cooking group and do Mindful Witchery kitchen. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think I really like this because I want to figure out a way to, I know we talk about a lot on this podcast, but a way to connect with you guys strictly with witch related stuff.
Yes.
Because I don't know about you, but I'm always reading different things that have broadened my perspective on witchcraft. And like, there's events that happen all the time.
Yeah.
That will happen more.
I'm so down for that. And we could even do like a mindful witchery happening at some point, once the COVID thing is gone. And we could, kind of meet up with people who were, we can even meet up in a cemetery.
That'd be so great.
Yes.
Yeah, and doing stuff like that is like kind of why we started this. And we could finally kind of like make that happen.
To connect really cool. and really to add some normalcy and not make it so atypical for someone to practice witchcraft.
Yeah.
I know I get that feedback a lot, that people feel like it's so atypical and they like the way we normalize it. Well, let's normalize it together.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it doesn't need to be this taboo thing, depending.
Yeah.
Like, because it is in a lot of like cultures around the United States and even around the world. It's like when you hear witch, what somebody thinks of is very different than what we think of. Like, they hear witch, they think devil. They hear witch, they think this very like
pointed hat,
very
brooms.
Old school, very
Puritan,
very
freaking Puritans.
And that some people even think like demons are like, we're like manipulators,
that we are the wives of Satan himself.
And it's interesting how different people perceive it, and I want to be part of the movement that kind of can quell that.
Let's dispel the rumors. Let's educate people. It's like any other religion. You have the opportunity. If you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, you have the opportunities out there in the stage and the venue to be able to educate people so that they're not coming at you with this hostility and this and ignorance.
Yeah.
And we should be able to do the same thing, to be able to come at people and educate them, help them to dispel the rumors and dispel the fear.
Yeah, and you don't have to agree with us.
No, absolutely not. Just listen.
If you disagree with us, at least know what you're disagreeing with. And that is all I have to say about everything. Know what you're disagreeing with.
So a couple of things there. So we're asking people to send us their address so that we can start a letter writing campaign.
Yay, I'm so excited.
That's so exciting. You can send postcards and letters. It'd be so much fun. And also your thoughts about us starting a group like the Mindful Witchery Tea Room.
I think something. And it's going to manifest.
Yeah. And as a community, to be able to dispel myths, to educate, to come together, to connect, to learn.
Yeah, see what's going on in your area.
Yeah.
You can post, like, especially in New England, like, things are starting to happen again. Like, in Salem, the Women's Witches Convention, I think.
Yeah.
Which I've never been to. I don't think it's called that. But
we need to hobnob with our fellow witches.
Yeah, and there's so much happening, and I'm sure we don't hear about all of it. So I'd love to just, even if you're not a witch and you're just curious, join.
Witch curious.
Witch curious. Oh my God, that's so great.
It is. It's one of those things where I really want to get out there because I'm comfortable with who I am now, and I'm living my best life, and I really want to get out there. And if there's somebody out there who is not living their best life and feels kind of intimidated or feels like they just don't have someone to share that part of them with, I want them to be able to share it with us.
Yeah, I agree. Yay, I'm so excited.
Yay, so many things happening. We still have our Patreon page. We still have our merch up if anybody would like to order.
Yeah, and thanks still for everybody who's put in orders. Every time like I see a new order, it just backs up why we're doing
reaffirms
this too,
why we're doing this
and why we want to put so much effort into it. And the more we grow, the more we can offer.
Exactly. So stick with us. There's lots more to come. And I guess that's a good place to end it today. Oh, wait a minute. I have a recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
It's the coolest thing. I was at a friend of mine's house, and she had a bunch of books. I mean, I probably saw 1,000 books while I was there. And a friend of hers was moving, and she needed to sell all her books. So my friend is selling her books. Nice. And one of the books that I bought there, and it's an older book. It's from, I think, the 90s. It's an older book. It's from the 90s. It's a book called A Guide for the Advanced Soul. A book of insight, and it's a really fancy little book.
It looks very fancy.
It's a fancy little book. It's a hardcover book, and it has a little jacket over it. It's written in this fancy writing, and it has one of those little bookmarks attached to it. The little ribbon.
I wish every book came with one of those.
Me too. It should. That's classy. And it's a book of like sayings and a book of quotes that comes from a lot of different places, from the Koran to Lao Tzu, Gandhi. And what it asks you to do is, like, normally what I would do is, I've been posting these on my Facebook page. I turn the page and I take a picture and post it on my Facebook page. But what this book is actually meant to be for, the author's intent was for you to think about a challenge that you're having and really focus on it, and then open the book.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, so that and hopefully what you're going to find is like a solution or a help, an aid, a support for the problem that you're having, the challenge that you're having.
Like a lot like tarot cards.
Yes,
it is.
I think it's called A Guide for the Advanced Soul, A Book of Insight by Susan Hayward, and she actually wrote in calligraphy all of the quotes on each page.
Very cool.
Yes, it is super cool. I love it. I've been following it every day, and typically I don't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't follow it. I don't go have a calendar that has stuff on it. And I have trouble with calendars. It's a weird fear that I have. Documenting too much.
Yeah, I start and never stop. Like, I start them and don't finish. Yeah.
But this is such a cool book, and I don't even know if you can even find it.
Yeah, I never heard it.
On Amazon. I'm not even really sure. But like the back cover says, be at peace and see a clear pattern and plan running through all of your lives. Nothing is by chance.
Beautiful.
So that's my recommendation this week. It's this book, A Guide for the Advanced Soul.
I love it. And mine was Master Mechanic and Wicked Wizard by a review by Doug Davis.
And I'm going to recommend something else while we're sitting here talking about it. So we're talking about recommendations. I went up to Keene this weekend.
Right.
And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Soul Emporium in Keene. It is right on Main Street. It is
Keene, New Hampshire.
Yes.
By the way.
It is run by Brandy Wells. She has actually opened another store that's actually, there's the Soul Emporium, there's a Subway, and then right next to that is the Shadow Emporium. And it's based more on shamanic works. It's based more on like things like tarot, blends of oils, teas, things like that. Jewelry. She has some Wiccan jewelry there as well.
Oh, okay.
An absolute lovely store. I bought a purse there that has a cat on the front that's dressed like a queen, and just made me think of my cat. But if you're up in Keene, New Hampshire, and you get a chance to go into downtown, please don't miss those two stores. I think it's really unique and unusual that Brandy decided to open two stores.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
But there are two very different moods. There's kind of a light, and there's a darker store. So it really the contrast is really interesting.
I'm excited to go and see it.
It is. It's very interesting. I really think I prefer the new Shadow Emporium because it's more my area. But I'm telling you, the contrast between the two kind of allows you to kind of seek out what's more you. And I think that was very smart marketing on her part. So, Brandy, if you're listening to this, congratulations on opening the Shadow Emporium.
Yeah, and there's a pretty big witch community that I'm not part of that's around this area because we're solitary and I usually don't seek out other people. But there is, like, up in the Keene, Peterborough, New Hampshire area, there's actually, like, good amount of witches. But
maybe we should actually next time do our recommendations on stores, retail that's in the area.
Oh, totally.
Because, I mean, I know there's the Soul Emporium, but there's also a place in East Hampton, and right now I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
it's more of a crystal shop.
Oh, okay.
But there are lots in the area, so if you're ever looking for supplies like crystals or oils or herbs, things like that, there are lots of places around this area in Western Mass, New Hampshire, around Keene area, Peterborough, that there are a lot of shops. So maybe we could talk about that next time.
That'd be great.
Give people a resource.
That'd be cool. Yeah, like very similar to like when I did the episode with Sarah, we talked about local places you can go to, like to do one about local witchy shops or witch areas, or like even Salem too. Like I know of a lot in Salem. Like
there's a lot in Salem.
There's a lot in Salem. We can do a whole episode on Salem.
And there's some in Boston. I know one particular in Boston that's really nice. So so we can spread our wings and be able to get our supplies without having to order them online.
And if you have any suggestions, if you live in the area or don't, and you're somewhere else and have a suggestion, that'd be so great.
Absolutely. Tell us your hangouts.
Hell yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Bye guys.